38 seconds. That's all it took for a rookie with a throbbing quad and a circulation-cutting knee sleeve to turn an undefeated champion into a rumor. 1, 2, 3 moonshots from the logo, and suddenly Barclays Center, home of 9 straight Liberty victories, felt like a basement gym in Des Moines watching Caitlin Clark's private warm-up. By the time the third ball scythed through the net, every cell phone in the arena was in midair, the PA announcer was stuttering, and Breanna Stewart was staring at her own feet as if flat Earth might explain what had just happened. To understand why those 38 seconds mattered, rewind 48 hours. The Indiana Fever were hanging off the edge of the Commissioner's Cup map like a loose ticket stub. Their record in Cup standings was 2 wins, 5 losses. Another stumble and the East slot would belong to Connecticut by lunchtime. Worse, their human supercharger had missed 5 games nursing a strained quad. Coaching staff whispered about conservative minutes, load management, maybe an extra week. Clark's own response, delivered with an eyebrow raise loud enough to rattle clipboards, was, "See you Saturday." The opponent waiting was a nightmare dressed in seafoam and copper. New York opened 2025 like a team parodying parody. 9 wins, 0 losses, top 3 in every advanced metric that matters. Breanna Stewart was drilling logo threes with board precision. Stewart was doing that hydraulic arm thing on defense that blocks angles you didn't know existed. And Jonquel Jones looked 10 pounds lighter and a step quicker than last season's title run. Across ESPN Talk panels, the question was framed as cautionary. Was hype about to meet harsh daylight? Tip off. 42 seconds in, the rookie answers. Transition, left wing, 29 feet, pull up, splash. She backpedals with that half smile, half snarl that says, "House call." The Liberty answer the way champs do. Breanna floats off a pin down, nets her own triple. Stewart swats a layup on the next trip. And in the din, you can almost hear New York's bench mumble, "Order restored." Not quite. Coach Stephanie White sticks to the minute chart, yanks Clark at 5:18, and the Fever immediately combust like a cheap fuse. 2 turnovers, a blown box out, and a -9 crater by quarter's end. Clark sits wrapped in a heat pack, watching the hole widen. Cameras catch her lips, counting. At -9, she stands. At -11, she taps White's elbow. At -13, she just walks to the scorer's table. When she checks in, the crowd noise pops like a wrestling entrance. Some cheers, some boos, all electricity. Stewart greets her 35 feet from the basket, a 6'4" shadow with MVP hardware and 0 patience for fairy tales. Clark crosses, fakes a retreat, slings an over-the-shoulder dart to Aaliyah Boston for a layup that snaps necks and narrows margins. But momentum alone won't erase a deficit. Clark needs daylight, and New York is moon blocking. They run a high trap the next 2 possessions, forcing the ball from her hands. So she goes off ball, loops around a Boston pin screen, catches 14 inches beyond the arc, and detonates a quick release jumper so pure the net spins like a barber pole. Stewart scowls. Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello signals a switch. From now on, Breanna tracks Caitlin like Secret Service detail. The chess move buys New York 2 minutes of equilibrium, until the moment Clark decides equilibrium is boring. With 2 minutes and 2 seconds left in the half, she dribbles across the midcourt logo, sees Stewart's left foot lean, and pulls from 31 feet. Network, the scoreboard trims to 6. The Liberty counter quickly, Stewart slips, converts a leaner, pushes it back to 8. 11 seconds later, Clark catches another handoff, gathers from 34 feet, releases so high the shot clock flashes in the broadcast frame. Network 6 becomes 5. The Liberty hurry, fling a corner 3 that wedges off iron. Boston elbows the rebound to Kelsey Mitchell, who outlets to Clark, still jogging up the right seam. Stewart and Betnijah Laney are both back, doesn't matter. 2 feet over midcourt, Clark plants, raises, fires over the double. The ball's arc crosses the roof camera and returns to earth dead center. Tie game. It took 38 seconds. 9 points, 3 dreams crushed, 1 arena baptized in doubt. Breanna Stewart calls for the ball like a point guard ordering a rescue helicopter, but the quarter expires to a roar that sounds suspiciously like panic. In tunnels smelling of popcorn and tape spray, Liberty assistants debate synonyms for emergency. The whiteboard solution is physicality. Body Clark, deny space, test that quad. It shows instantly. First action of the third quarter. Stewart bumps Clark mid-curl, borderline legal, entirely intentional. The rookie hits the hardwood, pops up laughing, sinks both free throws when the late whistle materializes. Barclays decides she might be unstoppable. The Liberty decides she certainly can be fouled. Violence, however, is a double-edged tactic against someone raised on Big Ten elbows. Clark starts using New York's aggression as boomerang energy, baiting pressure, spinning out, firing hook passes to corner snipers. 3 possessions, 8 Indiana points, and Brondello's clipboard looks like a Sudoku page scribbled in red. Around the 6:12 mark comes the avalanche. Clark jumps a lazy entry pass, waltzes into a 29-foot pull-up. Bang! Fever trap the ensuing inbound. Force an 8-second violation. Quick hit Mitchell for a sideline triple. Then Clark relocates for a logo bomb that detonates the scoreboard and Stewart's composure. Stewart calls for ISO touches trying to punch back, hits a spinning elbow jumper, then bullies a post-up for 2 more. But every time the champs score, Indiana answers in 7 seconds or fewer. Clark orchestrates like a conductor on double espresso, flash to the wing, draw 2, bounce thread to Boston for a scoop, then ghost screen into a relocation 3 that misses but ricochets to Nalissa Smith for a putback. The quarter ends with the Fever up 11 and the crowd coping via concession stand therapy. Fourth quarter begins under experimental conditions. New York unveils a box and 1. 4 defenders in zone, reserve guard Kayla Thornton face guarding Clark. It works for a possession and a half until Clark sprints baseline, drags Thornton under the rim, and watches Boston knife through the vacated lane for a 2-hand finish. Next time down, Clark plays decoy again, but when Stewart sags a half step toward the paint, she flips a behind-the-back pass to Mitchell curling top of key. Cash. Liberty abandoned the gimmick. Desperation spools out. The dagger arrives with 1 minute 47 seconds left. Indiana by 7, shot clock at 14. Clark crosses midcourt at a stroll, dribbles behind the back, eyes the bench as if asking for dinner plans. Stewart shades inside the arc, anticipating a drive. Clark stops, loads from 32 feet, and the ball travels long enough for commentators to mention Reggie Miller's name before it buries the twine. Cameras catch Stewart mouthing an expletive. Half admiration, half existential dread. Final horn. Fever 102. Liberty 88. Scorekeepers hand Clark a line from PlayStation. 32 points on 10 of 18 shooting, 7 of 11 from deep, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 0 turnovers after halftime. Reporters attempt metaphors in real time. Most fail. Clark thanks her physio, jokes the quad felt better after the first make, then exits still in uniform because the broadcast wants a walk-off interview. Stewart is gracious at the podium. Tip your hat, that's greatness, but slips in a prophecy. The league adjusts fast. Maybe so. Yet nobody has diagrammed a defense that covers 34 feet of hardwood without leaving something wide open. And therein lies the terror Clark imported from Iowa to Indianapolis. Every possession is a geometry puzzle with too many right answers for her and too many wrong answers for you. For Indiana, the win detonates more than champagne corks. Cup standings flip like a coin. The Fever vault to first in the East, Minnesota holds the West, and suddenly July 1st whispers a possible Clark Collier title bout. Ticketing sites crash, secondary prices climb. League socials schedule highlight reels before the editing bay can ingest footage. The WNBA wanted storylines. Clark delivered a saga. Yet numbers, even gaudy ones, miss the emotional aftershock. Picture a 6-year-old in Indianapolis who begged for those sold-out seats and watched a 23-year-old shoot from a county away. That kid's new normal is 30-foot artistry. Just as Steph Curry rewired the NBA a decade back, Clark is bending the women's game in real time. Coaches who spent entire careers preaching inside-out offense are now scribbling drills that start at the center circle. Defensive coordinators, sleepless at 2 a.m., rewatch half-court possessions like UFO footage, hunting unseeable clues. Of course, Kryptonite hunts every superhero, and Clark's remains the same. Physical traps that try to lever her slight frame, passing lanes that dare teammates to make plays when she gives the ball up, and the inevitable fatigue of carrying expectation like a weighted vest. The Liberty exposed slivers, 5 turnovers before halftime, a couple of rushed drives into help defense. But they couldn't weaponize them long enough to matter. That's the fresh dread for rival scouts. You can win skirmishes, Clark tends to win wars. Back in Iowa City, posters peel off dorm walls as freshmen pack for summer. But Clark's legend there morphs rather than fades. Bars still use shot specials named after her point totals. Little league teams chant logo range during layup lines. Now, Indianapolis restaurants add the C3PO burger, 32% cheddar, 68% hype, and reveal same-day sold-out graphs. But the seismic waves ripple furthest inside the Liberty's own locker room. Last season, they conquered the league by spacing defenses to death and trusting that no opponent could simultaneously guard the Stewart-Ionescu pick-and-roll and shut down Jones on the glass. Clark forced them into positions they have long inflicted upon everyone else. Out past comfort, abandoning paint help, living with 4-on-3 scrambles. The psychological bruise may heal, but the blueprint is now public. Copycat teams, Atlanta, Chicago, maybe even Vegas, are already test printing scouting sheets titled Logo Coverage. Stewart's closing quote, "We solved Steph eventually," sounds obligatory yet hints at an arms race. Expect the Liberty to experiment with tandem traps, stunt and recover patterns, maybe even a diamond press that hunts early turnovers before Clark crosses half court. All intriguing on whiteboards, none tested against a shooter whose release clock's under 0.4 seconds. Throw 2, she finds the roller. Throw 3, she finds the skip. Switch everything. She moonwalks into 34-foot space. The puzzle is a hydra. Solve one head, 2 sprout back. Meanwhile, television producers brainstorm segment titles, Logo Logic, Range Revolution, Clark's Comet, before settling on the simplest, the shot. Singular, capitalized, aspirational. They understand that moments shrink to icons. Jordan's push-off, Kawhi's quadruple bounce, Miller's 8 and 9. 38 seconds of Clark now joins the montage, ready for every finals intro for the next decade. Not bad for Game 10 of a sophomore campaign. Back home in Indianapolis, Fever Marketing replaces an old concourse banner with a fresh warning, "Welcome to Logo Country. Shots may rain from anywhere." They hang it before Monday shoot-around. Players film TikToks beneath the sign and loop Lil Wayne's Mona Lisa for background menace. Clark rolls her eyes, calls it corny, then adds a Sharpie signature to the final word, turning corny into collectible. By noon, the team store's pre-order queue wraps past the main doors, proof that merchandise travels at the speed of awe. For league executives, those merch numbers crystallize what spreadsheets only hinted. The geography of possibility just expanded, and revenue follows imagination. If one barrage of Logo 3s can mint a t-shirt, what might a cup title minted by the same range do? Sponsorship teams pull late nights drafting proposals that place company logos on the actual center court logo, a recursive brand joke that exists only because Clark made the center court logo world famous. When Sunday's advanced metrics update hits public dashboards, one stat turns neon. Clark's effective field goal percentage on shots beyond 30 feet, 77%. Sample size small, yes, but coaches still circle it like an apex predator in shallow water. "You can't game plan miracles," mutters Connecticut's Kurt Miller, whose son faced Clark in 9 days. He's already tinkering with an off-ball spy defender tasked solely with chasing her shadow. The Sun tried a similar gadget defense on Curry during a 2017 preseason scrimmage. It failed. History may be rhyming again. So bookmark the footage because progress rarely announces itself twice. If you blinked, if you scrolled, if you shrugged, tough. The future of basketball ignited in under a minute. And the only thing longer than those 3 arcs are the shadows they now cast across the rest of the season, the league, and every aspiring shooter chalking their driveway logo tonight.